Well, the most severe drought in 6 decades has led to famine in the Horn of Africa, an area that includes Somalia, Ethiopia, and Kenya. The scale of the crisis has reached epic proportions, and 12 million people at risk of starvation. Hundreds of thousands have left their homes in search of food. Recently, I spoke with Chloe Stull-Lane, a Mercy Corps aid worker from Livermore, for a first-hand account of the situation. Welcome, Chloe.
Thank you.
Explain to me what it's like to be there for the hundreds of thousands of people who continue to migrate across borders looking for food.
Yeah, in the Horn of Africa, currently 12 million families are affected by hunger due to the drought. And it's really a complex emergency that we have. One aspect of the emergency is the drought and the lack of rainfall. It's the worst drought in the last 60 years for the Horn of Africa. But that's also compounded with lack of humanitarian access to some areas of the Horn of Africa, difficult logistically to reach families. And all of the impacts combined make the humanitarian crisis even greater than just drought or just limited humanitarian access.
You're working with Mercy Corps. What's their approach to trying to do something about this huge problem?
At Mercy Corps, we do our best to find the balance between delivering immediate assistance, immediate food and water to families who are unable to access it, while at the same time rebuilding communities and local economies. We don't want to undermine local economies while we deliver assistance. So in delivering assistance like food aid, we work closely with local traders and local shops who have stocked food aid to make sure that households who might have lost their income or lost livestock are able to access that food, either through supporting them with vouchers or temporary work so they can get more cash in order to access food and water.
It's been difficult as big as this whole disaster is and the thousands of people who are affected to get the word out about it.
I think that in the last few months we have seen increased coverage of the area, and I think the crisis has escalated. We've had drought and negative impacts. We've had families who have lost their livestock, whose farm has failed for the last 6 months, even 1 year. But in the last few months, the recurrent drought has impacted families even more, and the crisis has escalated to a famine as declared by the United Nations at the end of July. And this increased focus and international attention on the drought is very welcome because now we are seeing an increased assistance, but the assistance is also not enough for the response that is needed.
Why you? Why, when we have the world's worst humanitarian crisis, do you find yourself right in the midst of some of the worst that's going on in terms of famine?
I've been working in the Horn of Africa for the last 5 years, and it happens to be that with this experience that I've gained, I'm in this area where the famine has occurred. And due to the experience I've had in humanitarian work and also in building back people's lives and supporting families to develop themselves and their communities, that I was in a good place to support when such a crisis arose.
For most or many people, just looking at the photographs from that region is about as much as they can digest in terms of feeling, helpless. And you are there where there are thousands of people, 30,000 children, dying about every 3 months. How do you take it? How do you as a person absorb the disaster?
When you sit with families and in communities, you get to know what their struggles are and also their strengths. And as much as it's devastating to see mothers who have newborn children with nothing to feed them, and as much as it's devastating to see the impact of drought and lack of water on communities and on families, you always find strength as well in the families that you're supporting. We are doing a little bit to help them rebuild their lives, but they are ultimately the families who rebuild their lives for themselves. So you always find strength in talking to them about what they're doing and how they're surviving through challenging times.
So September, you'll be back in Africa,
Yes.
dealing with the everyday situation of being a help in that region. Thank you very much, Chloe.
Thank you very much.